Welcome to Spotlight on Naperville, community that cares. I'm Nancy Wearsome. The nonprofit community is presenting some very special events and important messages. Today's show highlights 6 exceptional organizations, each committed to the vibrancy and well-being of our entire community. So thank you for joining us as we feature these extraordinary groups, all deserving of the spotlight. And we're going to open our show today with Samaritan Interfaith Counseling Center. I am delighted to welcome back Dr. Scott Mitchell, President and CEO of Samaritan Interfaith Counseling Center. Very good to see you back again.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Karen Sharp is Director of Advancement of Samaritan Interfaith. So good to have you.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
And Dr. Elizabeth Duke is a postdoctoral resident with Samaritan Interfaith with a very special guest, Cedar. So we're going to hear all about Cedar in a moment. So good to have you.
Thank you.
Well, Scott, let's start by talking a little bit about Samaritan Interfaith.
Well, Samaritan Interfaith, as you know, we've been on the program before, but for those who don't know about us, we've been in existence for 43 years. We're founded by local congregations here in Naperville. And our primary focus is outpatient counseling with children, adolescents, as well as adults. As we like to say, we work with people from age 2 to 92. Dealing with a variety of emotional, psychological problems.
So really important work. And Karen, what drew you to Samaritan Interfaith? Because you're fairly new, right?
Fairly
this last
new.
year?
Well, Scott mentioned our main purpose is to provide hope and healing regardless of people's financial means. But in addition to the counseling, we also do consulting and education through Samaritan Center for Congregations. And I actually worked there for 2 years, so I just moved over here in a new role and loved it in Center for Congregations, and as I get more and more involved, it's just hard not to feel like you're part of something very special.
Absolutely. Well, Betsy, now you're here with an all-new program. Your therapy dog, Cedar.
That's right.
And you are actually providing counseling or
right.
therapy for people. Why don't you tell us how that works?
Right, so you usually hear a lot about animal-assisted therapy in reference to reading with Rover programs or visiting hospitals, visiting nursing homes, and all of those are certified therapy dogs, but what we're doing at Samaritan is a lot different. We're doing what would be called something like animal-assisted psychotherapy, which involves a certified therapy dog, a registered animal-assisted therapy handler, and then of course that same person being a licensed mental health professional, or in my case, working under the supervision of someone who's a licensed mental health professional.
Wow, so that's a lot. So it takes a lot to be certified then.
It does, yeah. I mean, the work of going into getting licensed as a mental health professional, as you know, is pretty extensive. It's post-college graduate work, hours and hours of supervised clinical work. But then getting your dog certified too is something that takes a ton of effort and dedication. They say just to have a well-behaved dog, it takes about 110 hours of training, and that would be a couple steps below a canine good citizen, and then kind of a registered therapy dog on top of that.
So when someone was having animal-assisted therapy, what would that look like?
Oh, it can take on so many different forms. So sometimes it looks just like this. And Cedar is just in the room, and he's kind of, just his presence is sort of, you can see that he kind of relaxes people and makes it a human-to-human interaction rather than something that's a little bit more intimidating, something that might have a little bit more stigma attached to it. When there's this exuberant dog in the room, it's really easy to become just a person-to-person and experience that authentic connection. Other times, though, I do bring him and do some kind of experiential learning stuff. I actually got my start in this industry working with horses and humans. I'm a registered therapeutic riding instructor and a certified equine specialist in mental health and learning. So I've gotten a ton of experience working in that area, and sometimes I transfer that to my work with dogs. So I'll have some clients who are perhaps working on self-esteem or confidence or certain kinds of anxiety, and I'll teach them how to train Cedar. And so we'll go on walks, and I'll teach him all the tricks that he knows. I'll teach him all the tricks that he knows, and then they get to kind of experiment with different ways of being and presenting themselves and see which ones are effective and which ones aren't.
Oh, that is wonderful. So that's a whole new program for you
It
then.
is, yeah. I mean, one of the hallmarks of Samaritan is that we're always looking for new and inventive ways to help people. And so when Betsy joined us and we learned about the animal-assisted therapy, and there is, by the way, a good amount of research out there that shows how effective working with animals can be. Post-traumatic stress syndrome in particular is a disorder that we hear a lot with veterans that animal-assisted therapy can be extremely helpful with. And so we're really looking forward to developing
And
the
to
program.
adding equine as well, it sounds like.
That's right, yeah.
Yes, hopefully within the next year or two, we're hoping to build out a program doing some sort of, maybe starting with like a weekend retreat, doing something for burned out clergy or therapists or people in the helping professions.
Wow, well, that is fantastic. And Karen, let's talk about if someone does need the services of Samaritan Interfaith, any service, what steps would they take?
I'll pick up the phone and call.
Okay, always good.
And there's, a process of figuring out if you're available for a subsidy or if you just go through it as regular insurance or how it goes through that. And then I probably would suggest the first thing people would do is look at the website and maybe get a sense of who some of the different therapists are and if their
And some of the
specialties
services that
match
maybe you
or
provide.
some of the services.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, we
Yeah.
work in terms of outpatient counseling. Like I said, we work with preschool age, and we have a child and adolescent team that works with adolescents in a variety of presenting problems, and then adults as well. And so
really about any challenge you could help
pretty
someone
much, I mean,
work
we've got
through.
28 therapists on staff and really work with a wide spectrum of presenting issues. So when a
Yeah.
person calls in, usually they're assigned right away to
Sure.
a therapist, and then they assess what's the best intervention.
Sure. Well, we thank you for being on, and especially thank you for bringing Cedar, and
course.
thank you so much for
Thanks for
expanding this
having
us. Yes,
wonderful
thank you so much.
programming.
Thank
And
you.
we're going to take a very short break. When we come back, more Spotlight on Naperville, so stay with us.
You were perfect, Cedar.
At Altitude Balloon Decor, we specialize in creating unique balloon designs that make your party one everyone will be talking about. From elegant and sophisticated